What is up, everybody? My name is Alex, and welcome to The Broth, the most fun, serious show on the internet. We are here, live in the cauldron, and today we're going to be doing some political compass and other political compass tests and some other political compasses. My friend Dave requested dick jokes. He's not even here, but I'm coming through from my mans. Political tests. Classic political compass, which is like the most well known. And it's pretty much trash, but we'll start with that because it's kind of the standard. Spoiler alert, anything with this eagle right here, I'm about. If you got an eagle and a shield, I like it. The two-headed eagle, I like too. The American eagle, okay, still like it. I mean, when we're sticking with our roots, love it. Anything that looks like Google Zog clip art, not gonna like. So yeah, we're gonna listen to some. We're just gonna hang out. It's gonna be a casual show. It's Saturday. We're gonna listen to some monarchy country, some monarchy national anthems. This is the Principality of Andorra from 1278 to now. Can't say I know much of anything about Andorra, but they're killing it. So let's get right into it. This is somewhat of a political show. It is, I try to be, I'm just following my passions. I am passionate about history, theology, biblical reality, politics, anthropology, the intersection of all these things. And, I think some people are kind of above it all when it comes to politics, and I don't think that's wise. There's politics. Politics is necessary to preserve a future for your people. So let's get into the political compass test. If you're not familiar with it, it's going to give you... Here, let's get back to the beginning here. Bing, bing. There you go. Now I think you can hear that well. I still want it a little quieter in my ear, though. I don't know what to do. So you get 4 quadrants, right? Where's the... You got 4 quadrants. Top is authoritarian, bottom is libertarian, and then there's economic left or right. I'd like a example, please. Well, you guys probably already know. But yeah, top right, authoritarian right. Top left, like the fascists. Top left, authoritarian left, like the authoritarian communists, these guys. Bottom right, libertarian right, Ayn Rand. Bottom left, libertarian left, these are like the anarchists and like hippies and stuff. So let's get into the test. And we'll talk about some of the shortcomings of this test. It's a very good critical thinking exercise to consider, what are the assumptions, what might this miss, things like that. And I'll talk about some of my answers, and I'll also be talking a little bit about going from being on the left to not. And let's see where I end up landing. I've taken a couple of these. I've probably taken all of these before at some point. This one I've taken a couple times. And I tend to scooch around a little bit, but I'm probably solidifying myself. We'll see. So the first question, I hate the first question. If economic globalization is inevitable, okay, it isn't, but I have to assume it is for this. It should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I strongly agree with that. And if you don't strongly agree with that, I think there's something wrong with you. You have like ideology over just life. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Strongly agree. Also. Case in point, my country right now. I disagree. I hate the previous regime, the deep state, globo homo, Zionist regime we've had. Love my country, support my country. The country is the people in the land, not the government. No one chooses their country of birth, so it is foolish to be proud of it. Strongly disagree. You should absolutely be proud of where you come from. That's part of forming a bond with your nation, with your people, is to say, I love us. It's a weird, stupid question to use pride, which is like a sin. It doesn't mean that kind of pride. You should love where you're from. You shouldn't just only see the worst of your people. That's what that's what they taught us as kids. And by the way, I've got an appropriate shirt for this episode. Trump wanted for a second term. Yes, I love Trump. Yeah, terrible questions, aren't they? Like, I don't know, what do you do if you're born in Haiti? Is your attitude towards this going to be the same? Like, should it? Our race, this one too, our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I mean, yes. I think anybody, no matter what race you are, it would be healthy to strongly agree with that, because you should see the best in your own people. If I'm white, which I'm half Ashkenazi, if I'm white, easy. Easy to see. It is what it is. I'm just being honest. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. No. Allies doesn't mean friends. I don't like a lot of people I'm allied with politically, like at all. Strongly disagree. You will see a lot of stronglies. I feel strongly about politics. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Yes. International law can be flawed. It probably is always going to be flawed. And a leader's responsibility is to their people and to God. Military or international law is not really a real thing. So yeah, I strongly agree that sometimes, sure. Now, if we can have some, that's, it's not to say we can't try to agree on some standards. Basically, what international law is an attempt to globalize like liberal values, which I disagree with. If international law was based, as it once was, on Christian values, then I would agree, but I would agree because or I would say strongly disagree. If you defy Christian values, it's never justified. I would say disagree at least. But because it's Christian principles, not because it's international law. International law is not really a thing. There's a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about here. I'm worried about some things. I'm not worried about that. This is hopefully entertaining and informational. You want people to watch or what? So no, disagree. I'm going to say strongly disagree. That's retarded. All right, economy. I forgot whatever that last category is. Talking attitudes here. not the FTSE index. People ultimately are divided more by class than nationality. No, I used to think that when I was a dumb liberal, and then I went and lived abroad and realized I have so little in common with middle class or working class Mexicans and Mayans. This idea is ridiculous. It sounds good from your liberal arts university. It basically has no bearing on the truth whatsoever. I am so, where I work, I interact with wealthy people. I have way more in common with them. Now, I'm not talking, these aren't gazillionaires who have a lot of institutional control globally or nationally or anything. But I still if you're a white American, grew up in America, just because you went to Yale, I still have more in common with you than I do a Mayan guy or something. Ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Strongly disagree. It's not real. This is not a matter of opinion. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I don't really. This is not going to be as strongly on this one. I don't really care, as long as it's working out for people. If people are employed but inflation's really bad, then they have money coming in but the money doesn't do anything. And if money coming in, if a lot of people are unemployed, that creates big problems too. So I don't know. I guess I slightly disagree. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Yeah, some. Yeah. I'm not bottom right on this. Not very much. The problem with this question or with this situation is there's way too much regulation. And they don't use the regulations to protect the environment at all. They use it to make money, scam people. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. No. Strongly disagree. This is another thing that sounds good until you understand the world at all. No, people who are highly capable and contribute a lot should get more than they need. And also, nobody really knows what your ability is. So this is just a recipe for people to not this is normie conservative stuff, but no. Freer the market, the freer the people. No. The more people, this is a Catholic interpretation, the more people can be safe to practice their faith, the freer they are. It's nothing to do with the market. It's a sad reflection in our... What's this? Oh. Sorry, I still got the starting soon thing on there. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. On the other hand, I still get free water in the tap. And I can buy, better water. I don't know. I mean, I just think Yeah, I agree. It's stuff like this that, nudges me left. I'm not super far right. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I mean, ideally, the church would own most of the land. It would, I don't know. I like feudalism, basically. Monarchies where lords own the land and the church owns the land. That's not really a commodity to be bought and sold. The problem is we're so far away from that the people that would have it now are the opposite of godly and they're monsters. And so if you make it not a commodity to be buying and selling, that just means people like me will never get to have it. And we don't have a feudal lord that would allow us to work the land Um, so, like this whole test is like very like kind of modernist normie coded, where like people like me, like what do I even do? That's why like people in our circles take these tests and they get like put all over the place. I disagree. I mean, in our current situation, I want to be able to buy land. It's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Strongly agree. Get rid of all of that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Strongly agree. Very pro the tariffs. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I mean, no, but but when I say that, I don't mean these like newfangled like different types of corporations where they care about the environment too as part of their like charter, because that's really just communism. Like it's just a way to mask communism. So I guess I think no, because the company shouldn't. Like the people should. The people who run the company should care about. Shouldn't get people hooked on opiates because it's going to make them money. But that's the people who run it, not the company. I think it's a distinction. So I'm going to say I agree. The rich are too highly taxed. Yes. And people who disagree with that generally, like, it's so vague also. Like, people with small and medium-sized businesses that aren't corporations are way too highly taxed. But overall, yes. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Yes. If you have lots of money is a unit of value. You should be able to use that value in exchange for other valuable things. No matter what system you're under. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. 100%. And another problem here is like, does that mean like misinformation? Because that's not what I mean. But like, there's so many ads that are for fake bullshit. And like, if I'm on YouTube, if YouTube is hosting ads for scams, whoever's doing the scam should be penalized, and YouTube should be penalized too. Genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Yes. Government should protect people from the oligarchs. That's what the king's role was. Strongly agree. Now look at some of your personal social values. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree. All authority should be questioned. I disagree. All earthly authority should be questioned. See, like, what am I supposed to do with this? God's authority should not be questioned. The authority of the Bible should not be questioned. The authority of, at least if you're a Catholic, and ideally it wouldn't at all, of the Pope, when he's acting in his infallible capacity, should not be questioned. Secular authority shouldn't even exist. I don't know. I mean, I have to say agree, but I hate it. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Sort of. Reciprocity. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. It depends. I mean, it's kind of like a moot point, because the stuff that I care about, like the beautiful museums and the old museums, the old symphony halls and stuff, usually have endowments. Should they be expected to? Not necessarily. I think we could vote on it, I guess, since we have a democracy. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I completely disagree. You have to go to school. I mean, unless it means... These other ones are better. Unless that means... I guess it helps spur the conversation that they're so stupid in a way. unless you're talking about you have to go to public school, you should be able to homeschool your kids. I guess I just have to say disagree then. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Yes. You don't have to. There can be places where all different people get together, and that can be awesome. Skateboarding community, very multicultural. Awesome. But, yeah, like, people like to be around their own kind of people. It's just true. And so, and there's less friction when you're around other people that are like you, they understand you. Just is better. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I mean, spanking is a little weird, I guess, but I'm not against. Yeah, I think you got it. I think a little physical discipline sometimes, sure. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. No. Yeah, at least you. No, I mean some secrets. If you're talking about like they don't just blurt out everything, but like no, it's not natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. And it's like evil and demonic to encourage that. That's what pedophiles do. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I actually agree with this. I'm way against how it is in most states now. Like, I don't think it should be a big industry. I think you should be allowed to grow your own and have a little bit because it's a plant. I think it's, I think people are very extreme on both sides of this. I think in small amounts it can have its uses. And growing a little bit of your own plants and gifting it to your friends should be legal, but selling it at a store, no. Or selling it, I would be fine with, you can't sell it at all. You can grow a little bit of your own and you can give it to your friends. Yeah, and I'm talking like 3-4 plants. The prime function, oh, I didn't even answer. I agree. It's going to put me on the left, but I'm not. I like Franco. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generations to find jobs. Well, I do like how schools used to make kids patriotic and fit, too. And also, they used to teach the Bible. So when they're indoctrinating kids into stuff I like unironically, I like it. But if they're indoctrinating into, I mean, it's not hypocritical. Like, it's good or evil. But the prime function, yeah. People with inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. No, you can't interfere with that. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No, the most important thing is for them to love God. And know God loves them. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. Strongly disagree. There are absolutely savage peoples. In India, they used to bury the husband would die and they would bury the women with them. And the British made them stop doing that. And, there's a lot worse cases than that. The Aboriginal Australians have a problem where sometimes the parents eat the babies. So, yeah, it's not just different cultures. That's wrong. Like, compare that to late 1800s, like, Europe and America. Like, it's not even close. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. I strongly agree with that. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Weird on a political test. Generally, yeah. Sometimes you gotta have a dark night of the soul, but generally, yes. Like idle hands. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Depends, what race are they? Are they English coming to America and they love America and they already speak the language and they are capable of learning all of the stuff and want to? So it's not never, but like, you could be 8th generation Hindu in America and have kept to your own little cliques and neighborhoods and religion and, still speak Hindi at home and you're not integrated. So I feel like this test was designed to, like, for ill. This is like maliciously bad. I'm going to say strongly agree just because I know what they think it means. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. That's insane. Strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should be receiving public funding. That depends. Are they funding good things or evil things? Like, I'm definitely for stopping public funding for NPR. But if they played, what's his name? Cardinal. Who's the Cardinal that used to have a show back in the day? If they put Bishop Williamson on the TV, I would not be trying to get it cut. Like, I actually have morals and principles. I don't care about this stuff. No broadcasting institution. I guess I agree in our current state. I see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a lot more true in some ways, like, after 9/11 it was super true. But yeah. Yeah, they do it to, they just put priests in jail for protesting abortion clinics. And, I don't know if that has to do with counterterrorism, but they called PTA moms terrorists. So I'm going to say strong. Biden regime strongly. It's a little different now with the new regime, Significant advantage to a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. 100% they do. Now, it depends. If that's good, depends on if the one-party state is good, not evil. And, yes, the people individually are going to struggle between good and evil, but, what's the philosophy behind it? But that's undoubtedly true. Whether or not you think that's a good thing. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Absolutely not. An evil regime will use that for evil, which means stamping out the good. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly agree. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and below to be commanded. Yes. God made the world with hierarchies everywhere. We are supposed to model them in our society. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I agree. Not strongly, because some of it, a little bit maybe. But yeah, I agree. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Yes, because deterrence is the most important thing. Because the goal of it is to create a safe society. It's not for the criminal to learn a lesson. God's in charge of that, It should be deterrence. And people will say, there's a lot of fake stuff on the left about how, nothing deters anything. It's not true. If we started hanging people in public for being pedophiles, they'd stop doing it for the most part. And criminal should be more important than, yes, strongly agree. It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals, yes. Now, they should all be provided with a priest. They should be provided with knowledge of the gospel, which is the best hope they have. The thing that is at stake here is their soul, which we should be concerned about and give them opportunity to purify, to repent, etc. But yeah, rehabilitation for a lot of criminals not happening. People go to prison and they get out and do the exact same thing right afterwards, and yeah. if the prisons are like too nice and nobody gives a crap about going, if they're nice almost at all, then like a lot of people will prefer that to being out in the world, so they'll just commit crimes. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Well, I don't. I mean, like Henry Ford is more important than like a mid artist, but a mid art everybody's more important than a mid artist. The groundbreaking artists and writers that are remembered for centuries are more important probably than any businessman or manufacturer, but like there's hardly any of them. I would be totally neutral on this. I'm going to say disagree. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Yeah, I strongly agree. I don't if they have to have a career. Almost all politicians promise economic growth. Like, who else is going to do it? Immigrants? Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science. No. That growth is detrimental. No. Climate science is not real. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Sort of. Yeah. Overall, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of like going to be a lifelong dissident in a sense, but like you do have to make peace that like there are more powerful. I mean, maybe I'll actually get what I want. Probably not. But you have to make peace with that there are more powerful people to you, and you're little, and they're big. That doesn't mean like one man can't change the world, and if you're, maybe you will, maybe I will, but you do in order to really do that, you do have to sort of make peace in a sense with like this is the way it is right now. Rebellion is the attitude of Satan. So right, but Satan's world order is ruling right now. So in a sense, you always have to rebel against it. But you should have peace about that. All right, 2 more pages. Astrology accurately explains many things. That's kind of true. You're not supposed to use it, but it does work. There's a reason it's stuck around forever. You're gonna think, how's that left, or how does that have anything to do with this? You cannot be moral. Like, I believe that it works, but I believe that you can't do it because the church banned it. Where's my button? Where is ever my button? You cannot be moral without being religious. Yes. You can think so. You can coincidentally be moral. And you have to be basically Catholic to be moral. No, that's too far. Morality comes from God. So unless you're following God, you can't reliably be moral. Your morality. So God's will, God's order and rules, including morality, is written on our hearts. So by following your conscience, you can be moral, but you can't reliably be moral without a religious framework, because we have a hard time distinguishing our conscience between like literally like the voice of our demons. So generally I strongly agree. Once again, like this is maliciously worded. Whoever made this hates me. That's how I feel. I feel personally attacked. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Yes. Some people are naturally unlucky, obviously. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly agree. That's an easy one. Look at sex, because that has to do with politics. I guess it does, but not this spectrum, though. Sex outside of marriage is usually moral. I mean, always, but strongly sure. Where are we right now? That's enough of that. Hold on, where are we going? Finland, now we're talking. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Certainly disagree. That hardly exists ever. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly disagree. Should all be banned. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I mean, like, there's no private sin. Private sin doesn't exist. Every sin affects God, who is infinite. And if you are privately sinning, if I'm in my bedroom doing heroin, then I'm hurting the people around me because I'm hurting myself. And so there is a place for the state as a protector of society to deal with that. So I disagree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I agree. I think something happens. These days, openness about sex has gone too far, way too far. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I was looking for before. Left, right, economically. Authoritarian, libertarian, socially. Saudi Arabia, Singapore, way out here, far right. China, authoritarian, somewhat left. North Korea, I mean, I don't think this is accurate. Uruguay, Switzerland is slightly libertarian, right? I mean, of these places, I probably would agree most with Uruguay and Switzerland, but I'm not going to be over here. I'm going to be closer to China. Yep. Yeah, they got me on the left side because, like, I'm a Christian. Very frustrating. Alright. Christianity is not left-wing. Now, maybe I'm to the left of Saab, but I don't feel like I am. I'm just Christian. Alright, well, let's go to the next one. This is a political typology quiz. Are you a faith and flag conservative, progressive left, or somewhere in between? Okay, so this seems more like it gives, it doesn't hate me. Okay, I would like to do it. Yeah, that's not helpful in the least bit. Where is it? Take your quiz. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. If you had to choose, would you rather have a smaller government providing fewer services or a bigger government providing more services? I don't care how big it is. I care about if it is evil or good. If I had to choose, though, smaller. Which of the following statements come closest to your view? America's openness to people from all over the world is essential to who we are as a nation. Nope. If America is too open from people of all over the world, we risk losing our identity as a nation. Yes. In general, would you say experts who study a subject for many years are usually better at making good policy decisions about that subject than other people, or usually worse, or neither better nor worse? It depends if what they're studying is meant to make them actually understand it or is meant to indoctrinate them into a specific point of view. So it doesn't change one way or another. It depends. Thinking about increased trade and thinking about increased trade of goods and services because increased trade has helped lower prices and increase the competitiveness of some U.S. businesses, or lost more is gained because increased trade has cost jobs in manufacturing and other industries and lowered wages for some workers. The second one for sure. Like, cheap plastic crap is not that great. How much more, if anything, needs to be done to ensure equal rights for Americans regardless of their racial backgrounds? Nothing. You don't ensure. We've done too much already. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? Business corporations make too much profit. Most corporations make reasonable. You can't have corporations making too much profit. That's not the issue. It's, are they exploiting people? I guess they make a reasonable amount. Like, insurance companies would be a place where I would feel differently. Music's too loud. Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for being here. All right. How much, if at all, would it bother you to regularly hear people speak a language other than English in public places in your community? A lot. It's a sign of the decline of your people in your country. It's not that I don't like other languages or other people or something. On a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means you feel as cold and negative as possible, and 100 means you feel as warm and positive as possible, how do you feel towards Democrats? I mean, the party 0, the people, the actual people a little higher, but let's say 0. Towards Republican, like the party with before Trump, like 0 also, 10. These days it's getting a little better. I'm going to say 10. Pretty cold. But I like the people. I'll be generous and say 30. Which of these statements best describes your opinion about the United States? U.S. stands above all other countries in the world. U.S. is one of the greatest countries in the world along with some others. There are other countries that are better than U.S. I think one of the greatest. How much of a problem, if any, would you say each of the following are in the country today? People being too easily offended by other things others say. Well, they're definitely way too easily offended, but it's not in the top 5 problems. But I guess it gets in the way of solving the other problems, so I'm going to say it's a major problem. People saying things that are very offensive to others is not a problem. Like Candace Owen says, life is hard, get a helmet. Which comes closer to your view of candidates for political office if neither is exactly right? I usually feel like there's at least one candidate. No, none of the candidates represent my view as well. In general, how much do white people benefit from the advantages in society that black people do not have? I mean, right now, it's more advantageous. Like, all things being equal, it's more advantageous to not be white the way it's been. And Trump is changing that right now, which I support. Having it be more meritocratic, but all things aren't equal. Like, white people have dads a lot more, but I don't think that's what that means. How much do white people benefit from advantages in society? You know what I mean? Like, we need to we need a Catholic and race-pilled quiz. Not too much. Do you think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender, not a thing? It's very bad for society. Overall, would you say people who are convicted of crimes in this country serve too much, too little, or the right amount of time in prison? Way too little. The occasional person, way too much, but overall. Which of the following statements come closest to your like, I'm for prison reform in that we need to send way more people to prison. Religion should be kept separate from government policies. Nope. Government policies should support religious values and beliefs. Well, they should support Christian values and beliefs. Any other religion should be way out of it, but I'll say it should. In the future, do you think U.S. policies should try to keep it so America is the only military superpower? It would be acceptable if another country became as militarily powerful as the United States. It would obviously be better if we were the most powerful. Faith and flag conservative. All right. Well, this is more accurate in that it has me as far away from the progressive left as you can be. %10 of us, huh? Cool. All right. Well, way better than the last one. All right. The Sapley values test. Political compass test that combines the questions of Sapley test with the UI of the 8 values test. Okay. So it's the same compass as the first one, but then we also have green we have another progressive versus conservative, which is going to help, right? Because there's economic left and right, and then there's authority versus liberty. But what kind of authority to push what? And that's more than the distinction. There is more than economic left or right. This is really adding an important layer. Yeah, let's do a shuffled. In times of crisis, safety becomes more important than civil liberties. Yeah, it does. Problem is, people will, corrupt governments will create crises on purpose, but it's still true. I'll say agree. Hold up, though. My heart goes out to you. German Empire, by the way. Okay. Victimless crimes should still be punished. What? Like what? Generally, I guess, yeah. I don't think that there really aren't many of them. I mean, pirating movies, like, even though it says on the screen that it's not, it probably is. Autonomy of body extends to minors, the mentally ill, and serious criminals. No! Parents have authority over their children's bodies. Children don't have well, leave it up to the kid if they want to put poison in their arm. No. And same with mentally ill. Criminals, more so. Nudism is natural? No. The Garden of Eden happened. The harder you work, the more you progress up the social ladder. Generally, but you have to not work completely stupid. Neutral. I'm so glad I have a neutral button. Jeez. Mandatory IDs should be used to ensure public safety. I don't care. The government should, at most, provide emergency services and law enforcement. At most? No, you can do other things. The government should be less involved in the day-to-day life of its citizens than it is, yes. Especially in the way that it is. Agree. A government that provides for everyone is an inherently good idea. No. The government should set like a background, like a matrix, not in the sense of like a movie or like deceiving, but like a sort of substrate upon which a good and just society can emerge from it. But the government itself shouldn't be making sure everybody has enough food in their mouth. That never works. Economic inequality is too high in the world. No. I mean, it's pretty outrageous right now, like the way capitalism has it. But I just hate all of the proposed solutions that I ever see. And unless you want to look backwards in history to when we had monasteries every 6 miles. In England, that would give you a place to sleep. Disagree. Exploitation is an outdated term, as the struggles of 1800s capitalism don't exist anymore. I mean, the 1800s was like better than now. We're more exploited now. I mean, you're talking about like the orphan trains and the orphans in the I mean, a lot of what I think is so great about the 1800s was just like the remnants of the millennial kingdom. This is just reminding me how much I hate it here. And I don't. This is a terrible idea. I don't know. No. Without democracy, society is nothing. Strongly disagree. State schools are a bad idea because the state shouldn't be influencing our children. I disagree. Taxation of the wealthy, I think the way that it is now is horrible, but taxation of the wealthy is a bad idea. Society would be better off without it. I believe in a flat percentage tax that's still taxing the wealthy, so no. Charity is a better way of helping those in need than social welfare. Strongly agree. It's human nature to be greedy. Yes, not in the full Ayn Rand way, but yes. All industry and the bank should be nationalized. I don't know about all. Like, if we're talking in a National Socialist flavor. But also, like, yeah, I mean, definitely the federal bank should be nationalized. It's outrageous that it isn't. American steel, I think, like, if our government weren't filled with degenerate retards who hate our country, it would be better nationalized. I don't know. I'm neutral on that. Homosexuality is against my values. Strongly agree. Land should not be a commodity. Bonds hold this again. Neutral. Drugs are harmful and to be banned. Strongly agree. Jury nullification should be legal. Okay, am I an idiot? I don't even know what that means. All right, we're gonna learn something today. When the jury in a criminal trial gives a verdict of not guilty, even though they think the defendant has broke the law. That seems should be legal. No, why would that be legal? If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. No, fear God. Only the government can fairly and effectively regulate organizations. No, the church can do that. Smaller the government, the freer the people. No. Animals deserve certain universal rights. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely with stopping cruelty against animals laws, like what Hitler did. Some animals, some rights. Communism is an ideal practice. Is an ideal that can never work in practice. Well, it'll never work in practice, but it's also not an ideal. It's just an attack on Christendom. It was just to destroy what was left of the church and Christianity in Europe and Russia. That was the whole point of it. But it'll never work, so yes. The police were not created to protect the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. The only way this is good content is graffiti a victimless crime? No. The only way this is good content is if you are identifying with me in my struggle. This is, maybe I'll write a book about it. What would I call it? The police were not created to protect people, but to uphold the status quo by force. I mean, in our messed up system, that's sort of what they were created for, but no, I'm not with the police being a fundamentally evil institution. The death penalty should exist for certain crimes. Strongly agree. Society requires structure and bureaucracy in order to function. Yes. Strongly agree. Parents should hold absolute power over their children as they are older and more experienced. They should hold absolute power over their children because they're their parents, not just because they're older. But fine. Class is the primary division of society. No. Strongly disagree. One cannot be moral without religion. Still strongly agree. Organizations and corporations cannot be trusted and need to be regulated by the government. Well, you can't trust the government either, but yeah, I agree. Laws based on cultural values. These are like designed to make people hate politics. Laws based on cultural values rather than ethical ones aren't justice. Yes, strongly agree. Two consenting individuals. I'm going to disagree with anything that starts with that. Probably should be able to do whatever they want. Probably not with each other, even if it makes me uncomfortable. No. Nope. No. No. Does this include, like, think about it. Whatever they want, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Well, why does it make me uncomfortable? If it makes people uncomfortable, it's because it is transgressive in some way. Like, does this include, like, being in dog gimp gear outside? Because, like, that's what they seem to mean. Strongly no. Authority figures, if morally correct, are a good thing for society. Finally, a question that seems geared towards me. Strongly agree. Wages are always fair, as employers know best what a worker's labor is worth. No, not always. Disagree. Freedom of business is the best practical way a society can prosper. In terms of the system we have, yes, but in general, no. Like, so many of these issues can't be solved but in earthly ways. Like, I almost have to take this test, and I'm not doing it, but it would help, is just to acknowledge, like, the millennial kingdom doesn't have these issues, and that's the ideal. But when you have the true authority of God on earth, then you can approach this very differently. But even after the millennial kingdom, perhaps there is some way to have divine right in a real way through the blessing of the Catholic Church. It's a question I'm not sure the answer to. It depends on history and stuff. My mind is kind of, I've been kind of, earthquakes have gone off in my brain in the last few days, learning about the millennial kingdom. An individual's body is their own property. No, it belongs to God, and they should be able to do anything they desire to it. No. Transgender individuals should not be able to adopt children. Strongly agree. The current welfare system should be expanded to further combat inequality. Strongly disagree. Sometimes it is right that the government may spy on its citizens to combat extremists or terrorists. Sometimes. I mean, they should get warrants and stuff generally. But sometimes, yeah. Gender is a social construct. No. Strongly disagree. A person should be able to worship whomever they want. I would be in favor of making Baphomet and Satan worship illegal. So, no. Strength is necessary for any government to succeed. Strongly agree. Multiculturalism is bad. Strongly agree. Did you complete this test in a serious or at least unironic manner? Yes, and I'd like to anonymously help with ideology assignment. Yes, but get me to the result. Yeah, this is much more reflexive of how I feel. A bit authoritarian, a bit right, more than a bit conservative. So kudos, I guess. I kind of like, we should make a test that's like, that isn't ambivalent about what religion you're talking about. It's not ambivalent about what ethnicity you're talking about. Uh, and maybe is more ambivalent about some of this other stuff that they make the center of it. Because they're putting a box around politics and putting certain things as what politics is about that I fundamentally disagree with, like the premise. All right, I got two more. If I get, I'm I'm like in an uncanny valley between like angry and having fun. If I get more angry, when it'll be more fun. So we'll see where it goes. Nine axes. As I recall, this one's pretty good. We're definitely not doing 216 questions. 45 we could do. I've done the 216 one. I forget. Uh, you know, it was like mind melting. When people have already suffered for technology to be developed, we should use that technology. What? When people have already suffered for technology to be developed, we should use that technology. I mean, the obvious answer is yes, but like, what are they talking about? Like things that they allegedly learned in like are they talking about like who's the Nazi doctor? I don't know. I'm neutral. People born to wealthy families have unfair success even when they aren't skilled. No, it's not unfair that their family built and maintained wealth. Strongly disagree. It's not unfair that some people are born wealthy. Some people are born without like half of their face. Like, get over it. Religious organizations often provide better assistance to the poor than the government does. Strongly agree. I mean, it's a literal fact. The Catholic Church is the largest, helps more people than any government by a lot. The government should have access to the emails of suspected terrorists. Like inside the emails, suspected terrorists, there's got to be some process. I'm neutral though. There we go. Excuse me. Subdivisions should not be able to exempt from national laws. What, like Guam? I don't care. Neutral. It is important that we maintain the traditions of our past. Strongly agree. My nation should, but if I'm in an Islamic country, I'm saying no because we need to convert to Catholicism. My nation should stay out of international affairs. I am pretty neutral on that. Countries will fall apart with constant war. Strongly agree. Whistleblowers should be strongly protected. Agree. Technology is negatively affecting modern society. Strongly agree. International aid is a waste of money. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it is. I mean, it's it's not that it's a waste of money. It's literally like deep state operations and largely Democrat Party, like ultra progressive psyops and stuff. But yeah, it's not how I want to spend our money. So yeah, government owned industry is usually a bad idea. Um, I'm neutral on that. It could be good. Countries that do not serve our interests should be toppled. No, strongly disagree. There is much. There must be a separation between church and state. Strongly disagree. Not in the way people talk about it. If you're talking about how in the Holy Roman Empire, the Pope was not the king and the king was not a pope, then yeah, but that's not what people mean anymore. That's literally what the founders meant when they talked about it. Because in England, it was getting too tight knit because England founded its own church. So that's what they meant, but that's not what people mean anymore. Society could not function without leaders and followers. Strongly agree. A nation usually needs a military in order to survive. Of course it does. No cultures are superior to others. Strongly disagree. Now, no ethnic groups are superior to others. They're more civilized, more capable, have more, therefore more responsibility in the world. But superiority, the measure of the people is God's, how they matter to God, because God is infinite and we're finite. So the only way that we really make any sort of impact is how we impact God. So we can be, people can be more or less pleasing to God, but that doesn't mean that we're valued more or less. But people can also make themselves enemies with God. But that doesn't make them inferior. That just means it makes them contrary to God. And that makes them the enemies of God and the enemies of God's people. So that all can happen. But that's all the people. This is talking about the culture. There are inferior cultures. And a culture is downstream from an ethnicity, but it doesn't necessarily represent the ethnicity, because an ethnicity can have periods of having a high culture and periods of not. So within an ethnicity, like the culture of black Americans in the 1950s was superior to the one that they have now. So I strongly disagree. There are definitely superior and inferior cultures. The national government can't understand what the people need. I mean, lately, I feel like they understand what we need, and then they do the opposite. But, and when I say lately, I mean like the last, since Kennedy got killed. Can't. I'm neutral. Sometimes they can. Democracy is the worst form of government except for all the ones we've tried. No. It's worse than most of them. It's just better than communism. All humans share a common identity. Sort of, but generally not. Identity, I would say no. We all share humanity. We all share being God's children, but identity, I feel like, comes more from like, who am I? You know, like when I think of who am I don't think like I'm a human. I think like I'm a Christian, I'm an American. So and you know, I have a mixed ethnicity, so that could be stronger if I didn't, and I still feel like, you know, somewhat strong with that. So I disagree. Immigrants should be expected to learn the language of a country. How about if you don't speak English, don't immigrate here? But I guess I have to say strongly agree. A nation must obey its leadership without question. If they're godly, then, but generally not. I'm neutral. Laws should be completely consistent within all regions of the nation. No, we can have state law. It's very important to maintain law and order. Yes, strongly agree. There should not be international law. Generally agree, unless we're doing, you know, the catechism. In the modern era, but most of the world won't like it, and we don't need to make them do it, because they won't, and they'll just be violent towards us. So no, most of the world, we should leave them alone. In the modern era, militaries aren't really necessary. That's a very foolish idea. Abortion should be legal in all cases. Strongly disagree. Sex outside of marriage is immoral. Strongly agree. People's freedom should have no limits. Strongly disagree. Traditional medicines are often more effective than modern medicines. I don't know how this is a political question. It's definitely true. Governments should be as concerned about foreign citizens as they are about those within their borders. Strongly disagree. That's insane. Local governments can understand their citizens better than a national government could. Yeah, I agree. Only extremely talented immigrants, if that, should be permitted entry to the country. Let's go. Yes. Strongly agree. Most bad things happening in the world are caused by us turning away from religion. Strongly agree. States cannot function without a strong national government. Strongly agree. Nobody but me can adequately represent my values. I mean, it feels that way a lot, but no. There are Catholic leaders who represent my values very well, so I'll say disagree. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. Disagree. The government should not fund any religious organizations in any way. Ideally, they wouldn't have to. Like, the government was not funding the Catholic Church in the Holy Roman Empire. And if they do, they're probably doing things I don't like. I'm neutral. The government must be by the people, for the people. What does that even mean, really? It's like just one of those things we hear a lot. The government should... the welfare of the nation should be the primary focus of the government. But if by the people means you have to have poor people in it or something, like, no. Also, the people, yeah, I'm going to say no. Disagree. Alliances are important for protecting a nation. Yes, but not the type of alliance where you have to go to war if any of you are attacked or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to say yeah. The United Nations needs more power? No. Strongly no. The wealthy have far more than they need. Well, yeah, but that's not the point, though. They do have more than they need. You don't need very much. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. I mean, I like an authoritarian government, though. But I don't like... I think violent protests generally are weapons of oligarchs, and the people don't even really know who they're serving. You know, it's a good way to be a useful idiot. Neutral. Environmental regulations are essential. I mean, like, if we're talking RFK version of like stopping corporations from dumping waste into streams and the water supply and stuff, yeah, government should not break up monopolies. Disagree. All right, okay. So federal versus unitary, I'm neutral. That makes sense because I love the Holy Roman Empire, which was very federated. And I'm pretty in the middle when it comes to states' rights versus national stuff. I'm extreme authoritarian, true. 70% isolationist, true. Neutral on military versus pacifism, true. 75% security, 25% freedom, true. The freedom today is freedom to sin mainly. That's what people mostly mean. They don't think they do, but equality versus markets, neutral, true. Fanatic religious, let's go. Traditional, 75% true. Fanatic assimilationist. I mean, I wouldn't call myself an assimilationist. I would call myself we don't need anybody coming here. But I'm definitely not a multiculturalist, so. Closest match. Well. Would you looky here? Let's go. I mean, I think monarchy, Catholic monarchy with the blessing of the Pope is the ultimate. And then I also appreciate when those became outward facing, projected power outwards, which was the old, the old empires, the Catholic empires. Fascism was really like a movement, a reaction to protect that, to try to keep that greatness going against the communist and modernist terrors, basically. But yeah, I don't mind. I feel represented. I feel understood. Sweet. How long have I been doing this? It's been a while. I got one more. 70 questions? I don't know if I got it in me, man. I don't know, but Dave's hanging out. You hanging out with me, buddy? Phew. It's exhausting a little bit. It's kind of fun though. All right, let's freaking do it because I'm never gonna do this again in like 10 years. I wonder if I'm still a fascist. Um, Drugs should be legalized or decriminalized. No. It's very important to maintain law and order. Yes. All right, I'm just gonna blast through them. I'm not gonna talk about them. Research should be conducted on an international scale. I don't care. I have to. Okay. Traditions of our no value of their own strongly disagree. It is important we further my group's goals above others. Yes. It is important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans. Yes. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Yes. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. Yes. The United States should be abolished. No. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. Yes. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. I'm so neutral on this. Yeah. Oh, wait. There we go. Those with greater ability to pay should always receive better health care. Yes. People with money should be able to spend that money. Quality education is a right of all people. Not really. It's a nice to have. It's important nice to have, but it's not a gimme. Is it necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers? Sometimes. Yeah. Victimless crimes such as drug use. It isn't. It isn't. I would know. I was a drug addict. It was horrible for everybody the people who loved me, I couldn't push away. My immediate family, it was not, they were victims of it. Should not be crimes at all. Totally disagree. We should open our borders to immigration. No. International aid is a waste of money. As it is, yes. The general populace makes poor decisions. 100% they do. Churches should be taxed. No. My nation is great. Yes. Even as messed up as it is, it still is great. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. 100. You don't. Yes. It's hard enough to convince your own people. You got to convince other people. Get out of here. Free the markets, freer the people. No. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. No. Especially now, when it's globo homo. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes. All authority should be questioned. No, not all of it. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. No. Cultures are superior. No cultures are superior to others. No. Hierarchical state is best. Yes. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. What, like it's like a value in itself? Because no, I say no. Religion should play an important role in government. Yes. Maintaining family values is essential. Strongly agree. Governments should be concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. Couldn't disagree more. It is important we maintain the traditions of our past. Couldn't agree more. World surveillance is necessary in the modern. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. A little bit of it is. I don't know. I mean, but they don't need as much as they have. I slightly disagree. Governments should be accountable to the international community. No. That just means Jews. Military spending is a waste of money. No. Basic utilities. Our government is a corporation. Good point, Dave. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Yeah. All people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally. No, because that means that you think you can get gay married, and that's not a thing. But I don't. You can have a civil unions for your tax breaks or whatever. regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, treated equally. I'm going to say no. I support regional unions such as I definitely don't support the demonic European Union, but the Holy Roman Empire was sort of like that. I don't care. I say no just because of the example they gave. Environmental regulations are essential, some of them. Sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. I mean, define what a civil liberty is. Where are we now? Luxembourg. Well, our government creates acts of terrorism. They're the greatest terrorists, and the spy agencies are the terrorists mainly. So it's kind of a false dichotomy, but I'm going to say no. Sex outside of marriage is immoral, yes. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth, 100% it is. It's more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. No. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. Generally, yes. Like, all of this depends entirely on if the people in power love God or hate God. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local productions, yes. Stronger leadership, the better, yes. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change, no. Society was better many years ago than it is now, yes. Same-sex marriage should be legal, no. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country, yes. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty, yes. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous, yes. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. I mean, a much better world or a much worse world could come. I think it's going to get worse and then better, and we might get getting close to the better part. I think sort of better. Like, so far it's, I don't freaking know. Why can't I do neutral? Wait, I can? Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. I can do neutral. Whatever. United world government would be beneficial, no. Prostitution be illegal, yes. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than ensure welfare for all citizens. Yeah. You can't go broke. If you go broke, the whole country goes broke, then everybody's screwed. Abortion should be prohibited in most or all cases, yes. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion even if it's wrong, no. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. This question again. Generally, I agree. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. No. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. I mean, what happens is we fund it and then the private companies get all the benefit of it. So I'm going to say no. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. No. For each according to his ability, to each according to his needs, super no. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor, super no. Genetic modification is a force for good. I love how Trump with the tariffs is like, just that question isn't relevant anymore. It was always like, should the rich pay less and more people have less, but hopefully the rich paying less will make the economy better so more people have more, and then people just fighting about that versus people who say no, tax the rich because they hate successful people. And he's just like, how about other countries pay for it? Like, how about none of you pay and other countries pay? Sounds good to me. Genetic modification is force for good even on humans. No. Climate change It's currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. No. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. No. I have very controversial views on that, I guess. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. No. That was pretty quick. All right, 8 values. Economic, leaning pro-markets, less pro-equality, makes sense. 85% nationalist, makes sense. 85% authoritarian, absolutely. Very traditional. Hey, look at this again. Well, you know, I guess those guys might have been onto something. You know. Well. All right, well, that was a hoot. First Mexican Empire. People don't even know about how based Mexico used to be. This used to be their anthem. Remember when I said if they have the eagle, I'm pretty down with it? The eagle with the crown on a cactus. This is so awesome. 1821 to 1823. It only lasted 2 years. It was the Habsburg monarchy. The Mexicans had a 20-year bloody revolutionary war against the Spanish Empire, who was supposedly a Catholic empire, but I'm pretty sure it was all run by Mexico. New Spain was all run by really demonic Freemasons. I went to the Mexican. Mexico has a history museum. It's one of the coolest museums I've ever been to. It is in a castle, and it has the whole history, and it has paintings of the New Spain leaders, and they all look like freaking vampires. Maybe I can pull them up. It was striking. You get in that room, you're like, what the? Portraits. Maybe it was a temporary gallery, but it was maybe 25 portraits, and they're all doing the Masonic hidden hand sign, almost all of them, and they look like absolute vampires. And in any case, the Mexicans fought this bloody revolutionary war to get rid of them, and you would think it's they want democracy or something, our liberal education would teach you something like that, but then they literally got together, the leaders and the generals and stuff, and are let's have the Habsburg monarchy come, and the nephew of the king in Germany came over. His name was Maximilian II or something like that, and he ruled for a couple years. It didn't work out, but I'm sure it was very based for a couple years. Alrighty, well, that was a good time. We laughed, we cried. Shout out to my homies in the live stream. God bless you. I'll be taking the day off tomorrow, but I'll see you on Monday. And hope you guys have an amazing Saturday night.